Amendment out of the gate is a carve-out amendment, which I think speaks loudly to the underlying legislation. And I think it's very important that we look at exactly what this underlying legislation is all about. Contrary to the earlier markup, I sense there will be little common ground between our side of the aisle and the other side of the aisle, with the exception that clearly consumers need more effective, more meaningful disclosure in products. But ultimately, we do not view this as a bill that promotes consumer protection. Ultimately, what we have is a brand new, large, draconian federal agency with new sweeping powers that's going to have the ability to declare financial products and services unlawful based on subjective opinions about quote-unquote unfairness and subjective opinions about what is abusive. It is a bill that contains a lot of ambiguity on what might be a quote-unquote related person, who may be a covered person. This agency is going to have the ability to set the, quote, manner, settings, and circumstances for the provision of any consumer financial product or service. What this is, at the end of the day, is this is a financial services product approval agency. That's what this is. And I know that my colleagues on the other side of the aisle feel this is about something else, but I don't think we can even agree on the name of the legislation. So again, I'm not surprised that once one sets up an incredible draconian new legislative scheme, that the First Amendment is a carve-out amendment. My guess is there will be a series of other carve-out amendments. Ultimately, within the bill, there are carve-outs. There are carve-outs to non-carve-outs. It's hard to understand, but by some estimates, this is a bill that could cause a new federal agency to have jurisdiction over perhaps 10, maybe even 15% of our economy dealing with consumer credit and financial services products. I mean, this is huge, sweeping, draconian legislation. This is to go along with the fact that the federal government has already taken over the mortgage markets, the auto companies, Fannie and Freddie. The list goes on, and now we have the potential to have the federal government take over a huge portion of the consumer financial services arena. Second of all, it's going to be an assault on jobs. Once again, when we have the highest unemployment rate in 26 years, 3.4 million of our fellow countrymen having lost their jobs since the president took office, and now we have a bill where we had testimony after testimony that ultimately will make credit more expensive, less available. Nobody knows what the standards are going to be, but at a time of a national credit crunch, once again, this is legislation that will simply exacerbate the trend. There will be less credit available for small businesses as they struggle to find the capital to meet their payroll, to expand their businesses, to buy their supplies, simply because a new federal agency is going to set the standards on what these products are. And we know small businesses use credit cards. I think we have a Federal Reserve study that was entered into the record, I believe, that 77% of small businesses use credit cards for their business needs. Next, this is a piece of legislation that is aimed at undermining safety and soundness. You cannot separate the safety and soundness function from that of the product approval function, which is exactly what happened when HUD pushed their affordable housing, and that trumped the safety soundness of Fannie and Freddie, and now $1 trillion taxpayers' dollars later, we know what the answer is. And then last but not least, this is an assault on consumer rights. Consumers can no longer choose the mortgage they want. They can't choose the credit card they want. They can't choose the auto loan they want. They have to go on bended knee to this new federal czar for financial services product approval and beg that they can have a credit card or a home mortgage. And this is done under the name of consumer rights. I don't see it. So once again, I'm not surprised at all that the very first amendment we have is somebody carving something out. Again, I suggest that we will see more of them. But I think it's important that this debate be defined at the outset, and I yield back the balance of my time.
Is there further